Hello, I'm Steph from IDRIVEACLASSIC, and if you've only just tuned in, I'm going to give you a quick recap on what we're doing and why we're here with this rather crusty Marina that's called Tina. So first of all, I had this madcap idea that we were going to go and display the car at the NEC Classic Motor Show 2023, and I thought I was going to have a turnaround in 3 weeks. And essentially that wasn't possible because I had greatly underestimated what we needed to do. This is where we now find ourselves on video number 3. In video number 2, we started on the front wing and we're going to be finishing some of that off today. And we're also starting to prep this rear arch. Now, this is incredibly crusty, and at first I thought this was the worst one, but actually I think it's the other one. But look, got to get stuck in, got to get this done, because the choices either are do it myself with some expertise, help and guidance from my friend Kev, or scrap the car. And I thought, what better car to learn on than the Marina, because it doesn't stand me in much money and I'd quite like to get it done, and I'd quite like to learn the skills. And that's one of the things that I will say in this video, and I'm trying to say in every single video, is that I am not a professional. I'm a pen pusher who is having a go, borrowing some tools from a friend and doing the best job she possibly can. So the end result isn't going to be a concourse car. It's going to be a car that I can take to my Northern Soul nights. I can park in a Tesco car park without worrying about somebody opening a giant SUV door into me. I just want a car I can use and enjoy, because my Morris Minor is now way too good for me to just take out on daytime jollies and into dodgy places where there are good nights out. So in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to start stripping all this back. And as you can see, oh, that was a bit sharp. And that's one of the things I will say is rust and corrosion is very sharp. You can see here already, we dug through on video number 1 and we found this hole, but we're going to start taking all this back today. I'm under no illusion that there's a lot to find and discover today. But you know what? There's a lot of cars out there that are probably just as bad as this, that have just got a bit of filler and paint on top. So hopefully, by the time we start cutting this back, we'll have a far more honest rendition of what we need to do. So let's get these on, and I'll chat to you as I start grinding it back. I just think it's so important to be honest about what's going on here. And look, my technique with the grinder here probably wasn't the best, because when you're using this, you shouldn't be using it side on like I was, although I was kind of doing that to get into the little nooks and crannies. When you're working on a panel, really, you should be working with it flat, but I was trying to get into some of these little hard to reach bits and pieces, so you can use it like this, but best practice really is that you should be using it flat to get the most out of it. Now, in terms of what's going to happen going forward, as you can see here, we're going to get this arch repaired, but if you remember, it originally had a chrome finishing strip on. I'm not going to put that back on, partially because I think some of the, if you look at some of the degradation around the bottom of the arch on each side, a lot of that seems to be linked in is to where that chrome finishing strip was hooked in and screwed on. So I just don't see a point to putting it back on. It's not really added much. I'm not going to miss it, and realistically for me it's about building a car that's built for the future. It doesn't need to be all tarted up, so chrome finishing strip, well, that's going in the bin. We've just taken a battery break to swap the batteries on the grinder, and actually it's a really good opportunity to take stock of where we are. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised. And I was talking to Kev and I said, what do you reckon we do now? And he said he reckons that because this arch is largely solid, we should be all right. But it's obviously once you come down here that you start to see this is where the bulk of the worst of it is. And this, annoyingly, was where the grinder died, because I wanted to show you that finished. But yeah, so I guess now we just crack on with that. But this, I mean, this section here hasn't taken too long. It's, yeah, do you know what? The more I do and the more rust I see, bizarrely, the more positive I feel, because I think, well, you know, we know what we're playing with now, and the more we cut into it and the more we find, I just think, well, yeah, it's not amazing, but it's fixable. And it's not like you talk to some people and they start investigating stuff and they find more chicken wire than you find on a chicken coop, or copies of newspapers from 1982, or fiberglass, which is what I once found in a car when I started trying to sort the inner wings and stuff. So it's quite refreshing really, just chopping back and finding a bit of rust. There was a little skim of filler over some of this, just this bit here actually, and very small, so I don't know, maybe someone's had a go at rubbing it back before and fixing it before, who knows. As we talk about, it's the rich tapestry of a car's history because it's over 50 years old. So what we'll do is we'll carry on. I'm going to flick this back down, and remember, if you are attempting this at home, I do have to keep saying it, make sure you're wearing appropriate gear, because whilst the NHS will patch you up, they can't make you any new eyes, so might as well protect the ones we've got. Right, let's crack on. Well, it's not even midday yet, and we have made quite the progress. Well, I say we, but actually I've really pulled my finger out this morning for somebody who doesn't like getting up early on a day off. And the back arch I did with Fred this morning, and I don't think it's that bad. I think it could go again.
No, well, it can. It is quite good, the fact it's not as beggared as what we first thought when you ground the thing off. It's not too
The bottom of that sill is spicy.
Yeah, well, we knew that was like that anyway, so that's not a problem. The sill on the near side, we can get away with patching it up, cutting the rust out and redoing that on there. So
this side I know is horrendous, but I have actually got a mild surprise for you. So you know I said I was talking to that chap, Ben Clayton. He's actually got an inner sill and outer sill. He sells the panels new, and I'm going to go down to Coventry, well, near Coventry, Warwickshire somewhere, and pick those up tomorrow. Poor man, I'm going to have to go and just turn up at his workshop and pick those up. So I'll go and get those so we can get that done next week. We're farming that out, as we talked about, but something that we're not farming out is this wing. And a lot of people will have comments about the wing, and they'll be like, oh, you should have got a new wing, or you know, and as you said, oh, they used to be £7.50, but let's face it, it's 2023, the car's over 50 years old, the wings aren't plentiful anymore, so we're gonna have to patch up what we've got. And for someone who's never done this before, I don't think I did too bad a job.
No, it's fine. That's fine. Certainly for a first attempt. That's pretty good.
Thanks.
So what we're going to do with the wing is we ground it all back, got rid of all the detritus and nastiness, and we're actually going to patch it. But on this particular wing, I'm going to patch it underneath, put a plate of metal underneath, and weld it onto the existing wing to stop all the corrosion. Then grind it all off, and then just like the front, just put a little bit of maybe fibre filler or something like that, just to sort of hold the structure in. And I think that should do. I don't know how much wings are.
I've not managed to find one. I've been looking for the last 2 years. And also, you did say to me, don't bother keep looking for this wing, we'll patch the one you've got. Those were your
because
exact
I don't think, again, round the arches, round the back, it's not too bad. We discussed the mud trap, so we've addressed that. There's a little bit more welding to do underneath here where the front panel meets, as you would expect. Yeah. But generally speaking, it's pretty good, really. I think the wing's been replaced.
Do you?
I mean, that could have been replaced 40 years ago.
But I mean, that one is so much better. But anyway, let's crack on and we'll get going.
Okay.
Because welding isn't my strong point, and it's definitely something I'm learning as we go along, Kev kicked off the welding for us. Now, one of the things that people have commented most of all in this video, or this set of videos, is that if you are doing welding, especially near the battery, don't just disconnect the battery, but take the battery off in its entirety. Because of course, if that explodes, there's battery acid absolutely everywhere. Now, we didn't just stop at Kev doing some welding, I did some welding as well. One of the comments that I've had, and bear in mind I filmed this before I received the comments on video 2, is that you should have something to lean on whilst you're welding. But again, it's all just part of the learning experience, and I'm here to make mistakes. And another person here to learn and make a few mistakes is Fred, my lovely other half, who also said, can I have a go? And I was like, yeah, of course you can. Because do you know what? One of the things that I want us to both walk away with at the end of this is a set of skills. So I said to Fred, have a good go. But again, as you can see, Fred's kind of bracing himself really. So I feel like he's got a bit more of a hand on it than I had. But this isn't Fred's first rodeo at welding, so... But yeah, so once we did this, it was then on to grinding it back. Now I feel very confident grinding, because I've been doing a lot of this. So I ground back all the welds at the top and this midsection here. Now you'll probably notice the battery is back on, and that's because we had to move the car a couple of times. So I ground this all back myself, and the idea is, if you've missed one of the videos, is to grind those welds back so they're as neat and as flat as possible. Now, despite Kev's protests that he can't do anything, and he really shouldn't be because he's got his bad arm, he said to me, he said, while you're getting on with that, I'm going to get on with sorting out that back arch and that back sill. So what he did was he did it a little bit like we've done on that front wing, measured up the missing bit, cut a bit of metal to fit, and then started welding a bit over the top, because we're just patching this sill because they aren't the easiest thing to get hold of. Now, once that was done, it was then my job to start filling in the small bits and pieces on the arch, and then to fill that back down and cover over that weld on the back sill. So you can see there that I've started and had a little good go, but the idea is that there's not too much filler going on around that back arch because it doesn't need absolutely loads. I imagine the other side, because it is dreadful, will be needing me to absolutely slap it on. Now, here you go. I've done the front wing as well. Thought I'd show you this. It's a bit weird really, because I get stuck into these things and I get so in the zone that I forget to start filming, so sometimes I have to film afterwards. So apologies, I've just been so caught up in the process.
Right, well, wing time now. This wing's been lovingly welded up. All underneath here, it's all solid, and we put the fibre fill behind it, which is a very good strong base to start putting the fill. It's a little bit flexible, and it's got glass reinforced plastic, inside it, so it's quite a flexible piece of kit really. Obviously, new wing would have been preferable, but that wasn't to be. So we're going to rub all this down now, and then start putting the normal fill and try and get it ready for paint. But the basic contours there, the front bit there, was a great big hole there. So I suppose the progress is not three bad.
I feel like when we were in primary school and we did World War II reenactment with this mask, because Kev said, oh, you're going to need a face mask when you're taking all this filler back. And I pulled out, like one of those COVID masks that everybody used to have, the ones with the little strings for your ears. And he went, no, you can't wear that, looking at me like I was an absolute fool. And he said, Steph, he said, you need something proper. And Kev loves telling me it's not the 70s anymore, but So anyway, I've got this thing that I'm going to shove on. I won't be able to talk to any of you, but you can just watch as I do what I do and I'll chat over the top. I'm all about admitting my mistakes, and one of my biggest mistakes is I got so into this process of creating a new wing and trying to craft the new shape that I forgot to record myself doing it. So here's a bit of me sanding it down, which I've slowed down so I can do a bit of a voiceover for you. I wore the shield as well because it was so windy, it just started flying up in my eyes, and I thought, right, this will do the job, and it did, and it just allowed me to enjoy the process. So not being able to say goodbye to you in the normal way, let me show you what we've got coming up next week. We're going to be applying some Cure Rust. We're going to be banging some real fine filler on top of that wing to get the finish oh so good. We're going to find more rot than we expect, and part of the sill's going to detach without me asking it to. So that's it from me today. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Saturday.